Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today, our show is a little bit different. We're going to be talking all about the luxury homes here in Sacramento. So if you're interested or are thinking about buying a luxury home, stay tuned and we'll get right into it. Hey everybody, welcome to Sacramento's Real Estate Channel, where we talk everything there is to know about the brand new builds and of course, what there is to do here in Sacramento. If you've been thinking about making a move to the area, subscribe to the channel. And just so you know, we go live every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. We'll see you there. All right, well, there it is, guys. Welcome to the channel where we go live every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. So today, I thought I'd bring up a very interesting subject. We thought we would talk about the luxury homes here all over Sacramento. As you guys might know, we have a lot of people moving into the Sacramento area, and some are even just moving up into better and nicer homes. And lately, we've had a lot of new developments coming in the greater Sacramento area that are offering clients a much more luxurious feel and of course lifestyle. So to get it started, I thought that I would bring on another luxury listing agent here in the Sacramento area, and we're going to discuss some of the best communities and of course the best neighborhoods for you guys to move into. So today my special guest is Mark Mcdonough. Mark, welcome to the channel. How are you?
How's it going, Sam?
Oh,
Good.
doing good. Glad to
Dude,
have you, man.
I love that intro.
You liked it?
I'm liking it, man. I like it. I think it's pretty snappy. I like it.
Thanks, man. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm just trying to follow the world's #2 YouTube channel in Sacramento.
I know. Huh? Number 2 is not bad when I'm following you, man. Hey, so let me ask you something. Okay, so we're talking luxury, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so let me ask you something. I give you $2 million, let's say, in Sacramento, you got $2 million to spend on a house.
Yeah.
Where do you go? Let's start
2
this off
mil.
with a bang. Boom.
I would say Loomis. I like Loomis. I'll go 2 mil into Loomis, a little bit of foothill property with some acreage and a view.
Interesting. All right, Loomis. I like it. A
Custom
little
home.
Hallmark
Custom
channel.
home. Custom home. It's a simple life.
Loomis, man, as a realtor, you're giving me a race in back to Elk Grove, like what, an hour?
Yeah, I know, right? That's what the Tesla's for.
All right. No, Loomis is tight. I mean, I kind of think of Loomis as in like Loomis was kind of pre-Granite Bay. It was kind of the it place, and then kind of Granite Bay came around and became like more of like the kind of area people kind of moved from Loomis to Granite Bay. But Loomis is nice if you want some land, you want like Hallmark Channel vibe. If you want to do that, it's nice. I mean, you can't go wrong with Loomis. Loomis is pretty.
Yeah, it's got that small town feel, but it still has some really nice high-end homes. And I like the fact that you get some kind of land and some space out there. So if you guys kind of like more of a rural lifestyle, and still close enough to town, still close enough to all the shopping, Loomis is definitely a good choice. I mean, it's tucked right next to Rocklin, Roseville area, so just a short commute. Not bad at all. But today, I wanted to bring you on because I know you sell a lot of luxury listings, and I know that you also have an amazing YouTube channel. So guys, we'll put his info down below, but you could check him out. Mark Mcdonough, Sacramento Real Estate, #2. But check his channel out. Make sure you give him a subscribe and like and comment on some of his videos because he really pushes some great content. And so since we're both kind of doing a lot of videos about all the high-end homes around Sacramento, kind of showing you guys what's available, I thought Mark would be the perfect person to talk about this. And of course, we've been dealing a lot with semi-custom, custom homes. So we thought, hey, let's let them know what's going on because a lot of people are asking these questions. So we might as well just kind of give a general approach to kind of like what you're looking for, and then we'll talk about price ranges and such. But one thing I want to start off with, Mark, was lifestyle. So obviously, we could talk about the luxury market, but I want to break it down into lifestyle for the category of person. Maybe you have a professional that wants to be more towards downtown or like East Sac area where it's really thriving and vibing, and you could walk to the local coffee shop, or someone who's like me who likes the finer things but also wants to be more in the foothills a little bit outside of the city. So I wanted to bring that to you. Like, if you were considering moving closer to, let's say, like the East Sacramento area, are there any neighborhoods that stick out to you around maybe that general downtown area that you would move into for that, let's say luxury market?
Dude, I love East Sacramento is great. The Fab 40s. If you guys haven't checked out the Holiday Lights,
Yes.
check that out.
Yes.
I think the Kimpton, the penthouse over there, we were touring it like about a couple weeks ago. That was pretty nice as far as views, as far as lifestyle. I think I ran into 2 Sacramento Kings over there, which is kind of crazy.
Nice. That's cool, man.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's so many areas to kind of live in. For me, myself, I like Land Park. I think Land Park's pretty nice.
Yes. Yeah.
It's one of the only areas you can find in Sacramento where you can get a basement kind of area and have kind of like unique style.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, like, here's the thing. I do like the Fab 40s. I do like Land Park. But if I'm going to be spending $2 million on a house, like, in the world we live in now, I want a little bit of a resort, right?
Right.
I want to have my
separation.
pool. Yeah, cabana, like all that kind of stuff, barbecue area. I want to just go in and just like, dissolve into my house for the weekend. And
right.
As much as I love the Fab 40s, as much as I love East Sac, I think in my opinion, those are beautiful houses. That's classic Sacramento. But for me, I'm looking more like maybe like somewhere like in a Serrano. I think they're doing crazy stuff over there. Yeah. I like American River Canyon North. Granite Bay is great. Wexford, Los Lagos, Eden Rock, to name a few great areas too, because they're close to shopping. But you also get that estate vibe. I mean, they're big monster houses out there. I don't know.
Right. So I like the Fab 40s. I like that you mentioned that. I mean, I think starting point there, you're not getting in under 1.5 million at this point. I have a client living there actually. She really loves it. But Christmas time, it gets busy and everyone's just driving around because, I mean, it's literally like an iconic neighborhood over there. I mean, everybody sets up for Christmas. It's just like, it's the bee's knees. It's the neighborhood of Sacramento. So a lot of people want to be in there. You've even seen some old homes being torn down and rebuilt. But a lot of these homes are older. I mean, they're pushing 100 years old. So they have these nice characteristic and charm, but they need a lot of work. They need a lot of love in that area. And the neighborhood, I mean, if you drive literally 5-10 minutes outside that neighborhood, it can sway quite a bit, into older East Sac, which just doesn't have that high scale feel, I guess you could say it that way. But also a really cool area, I think, not downtown, but outside would be outside of Curtis Park. And it's this brand new development by Black Pine Communities. It's called Crocker Village. Have you ever heard of that one?
Mm-hmm. Showed a couple
nice, like these really like just really old school looking homes, but they're new builds, and I think they're kind of going for that East Sac vibe right there as well, which I really enjoyed those, but I think those are running already like that $1.2-1.5 million mark at this point.
Here's the thing. I mean, like straight up, like 1.2, 1.5, whatever you're going to pay in that area. I do think Sacramento needs to invest a little in the schools and everything too.
And that's going to be the downfall of that community.
It is what it is. I mean, majority of the people there, people like doctors will live there because UC Davis Medical Center, people working in the Capitol. Yeah. And the majority of the people there are sending their kids to private schools. And it's a shame. I mean, Sacramento is kind of notorious for, instead of investing or reinvesting in schools and whatnot, they build new. Right. That's why you see how schools like Grant Bay, Folsom, and everything like just erupting like crazy because they're brand new. So, hey, they're sweet.
Well, exactly. That's literally a good point that I wanted to bring up is schools. If you're have a family, younger kids, that's going to matter to you more. But as like an older professional, maybe kids are out of the house, or you have them going to a private school, regardless that you have to commute to. I know that there's situations like that. So, yeah, that one might not be the best fit. There are charter schools, and I know someone's going to write a comment later down the road. Well, there's this school or this school, but we're talking about in a general. Kind of general pace for that area, for the neighborhood. Okay, cool. So another one I wanted to point out would be on the other side towards Sutter Park, and that's Sutter Park by Tim Lewis Communities. I think you did a video over there, and I did as well, and that's a sweet community. They had some really nice homes there. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, Sutter Park's beautiful. It's kind of like, I mean, I think the area is nice and everything too. I think the homes are a little small just
Mhm.
for the price point you're getting there. I think the location is what people buy those homes for the
Exactly.
most part.
Mhm.
Um, and I like the area. I think it's nice, but like COVID changed the game,
Of course.
right? I mean, the truth is, like, everyone wanted a house close to the action, going down to Midtown, all that kind of stuff. Where
Yeah.
now everything switched to saying, "Hey, look, I want a little privacy. I want a little resort living. I want to basically like have everything I need in my house because who knows what's going to happen in the next months, years, or whatever to come." And
Right.
so, like, it's great, and I love Land Park. I love like all that stuff, and it's fantastic walking and everything too. But I do think that if someone's going to put some money into it and wants to create some kind of family vibe, or if someone's moving in from the Bay Area, I
Right.
don't really have as many people saying, "Hey, look, I'd love to check out East Sac." I hear them saying, "I want Rocklin, I want El
Mhm.
Dorado Hills,
Exactly.
I want Granite Bay," because they can get these big resort style houses with pools, with cabanas, with tennis courts, for the price you'd pay for like a house in East Sacramento that doesn't give you that. So
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, not to play this the wrong way or say this the wrong way, but a lot of people moving out of the big city, like in the Bay Area, San Francisco, San Jose, they're they're typically kind of tired of that lifestyle as far as like having a small backyard, small living quarters, close to everything, but no, like, none of your own space really as much. So when they get here, they're like, I do want the bigger backyard now. I do want the more, more garage space, more driveway space and separation where I can throw in a pool in the backyard. So that's been interesting because just as you mentioned, like Folsom, El Dorado Hills, up towards Rocklin, all these are like the names that are keep getting mentioned for these people that want to buy in this higher end price point.
well, yeah, I mean, the other thing too is like you're not going to get too many people like you mentioned that are saying like, "Hey, I lived in North Beach in San Francisco and I'm super excited to be living near downtown Sacramento." You just don't get that. They're like,
No.
I'm kind of sick of that. I love it. I can go visit, but I'm looking for something that, I can like have that privacy, resort style living. Like, and that's kind of Sacramento in like a nutshell. It's like
Right.
people want to have that house that they couldn't afford in the Bay Area. And those
Mhm.
houses are, big 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 square foot homes that, they sell their house in North Beach and all of a sudden they buy a big, huge, amazing luxury home. And
Yeah.
it's nice. And I get it. I mean, at the end of the day, like, I'm a Netflix type of guy myself. So, I don't mind driving in, putting the keys
Yeah.
away, getting some comfy clothes on and watching TV and relaxing. And I think in our area, there's a lot of spots to do it. And, for me, I mean, we have so many choices too. Even Elk Grove is popping for $1 million
I
homes
know.
too.
Yeah.
Ranch style vibe. I mean, I don't know. What are your top 3 spots do you like? If
As far as like overall communities,
Yeah.
um, I would say I really liked here in Rocklin, actually, just right here in my backyard from this office, is Skyline by Toll Brothers.
Okay.
It's a brand new community. I love the fact that they're just on this ridge by themselves and just have these like amazing views of the foothills.
Yeah.
But my one thing over there is the backyards are a little bit tight. To get in there, you're looking at 1.5, 1.8 million to get in the community, and there's still some availability there. I had a few clients shopping over there actually. I think I've seen you there actually before as well. But the backyards, in my opinion, were a little bit small for my personal taste. I like a little bit more spread. And another thing over there is that they're semi-custom homes, but they weren't semi-custom enough for me. If I'm gonna pay that kind of money and it's a brand new development, I wanna be able to move the home and switch it up a little bit. But really, what you're paying for there, and it says it in the lot premiums, is the views. Because you could pay up to $400,000 for a lot premium over there, but some of those homes see downtown on a clear day,
Mm. No,
which
no,
is
it's
like,
good.
you know, really like Serrano. I'm really enjoying right now. I think Russell Ranch, which is a new development south of Folsom, basically on Highway 50. And I know we've both done a lot of videos there, but I really like Gold Hill kind of area. You know, But if I was gonna go totally custom, build it from the ground up, I would say I stick to Loomis. And then a good one that I'm really enjoying now is Shingle Springs, which is further up Highway 50 past El Dorado Hills. There's been some really amazing properties that I've seen out there. How about
Yeah.
you? Where's your go-to?
Serrano for me is just like, okay, here's the thing about Serrano right now is that there's a street called Raphael in Serrano that has
Mhm.
maybe like 50 or 60 custom home lots, and the majority of them are already sold, right?
Okay.
So you have an area like Serrano that is going to have maybe within the next 5 years a total of maybe like 60 or 7 custom homes. And we're not talking semi-custom, we're talking straight up custom homes.
Right.
So the price per square footage is going to be insane. The idea
Right.
is like, look, if you're going to have a house like that, you're going to love it, right? Let's be honest. But you want a house also that once you build it, it's going to appreciate to the point where you say to yourself, man, okay, I spent 2.5 to build this house in Serrano, and now I'm being offered like $4 million for my house. And in
Right.
Serrano, I look at it as being one of the only areas right now that you can actually get that done. And it's because there's such an influx of like new custom homes there. Rocklin, there's not too much land to build custom homes, that many custom homes
Right.
there. Grant Bay, it's pretty much all built out. I think there's like maybe a handful of lots staggered in some of the more
Mhm.
upscale communities over there. There's just you have in Whitney Oaks the same way. There's a handful of lots. You know what I mean? In Serrano, when you have like that much of an influx of like maybe 60 or 70 homes that are all custom in a certain area, everyone's price point is going to rate. Everyone's price per square foot is going to go crazy through the roof. I mean,
Mhm.
surrounded by a golf course. For me, I think you could have a great lifestyle there. You can invest it. And for the most part, one of the biggest problems people are having in Serrano that are building custom homes, and it's a freaking champagne problem to the 10th level, is the fact that they buy the lot for like 400,000, right? They
Right.
build for maybe like 1.2, finishes all total $2 million. And they're getting ready to move in their home, and they have someone literally lined up to buy it for 2.5.
Yep.
I mean, that's nuts. I mean, like the return on investment for something like that too is, I mean, you have a gorgeous home, but also by the time you move in there, you've made like what, like 200, 300, $500,000, and like your house is there. And for me, having a beautiful house is something that you're going to smile about every day. Having a house that made you $500,000 is something that you're going to smile about every single moment of the day. I mean, and that's for me in Serrano. Um, one of the things that I do notice about Sacramento, and tell me if you see this as well, is that like a lot of the houses in Sacramento, because back in 2007 and 8, everyone was buying these houses, these big
Right.
houses. A lot of
Yeah.
them are like really beautiful houses, but they're kind of dated, and there's no like open concept. I've walked into some of these houses in Grant Bay, and I'm like, 6,000 square feet, and
But it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
it's the
you have
weirdest
the
thing.
huge entry, like some big old staircase or something, but then it's like all these sectional
Yeah.
areas throughout.
And
But
yeah.
yeah, but that's kind of what it is. And so I think that's going to be a huge decider point for people too that are watching this video and are considering luxuries. Do you want to go full custom, or maybe get into a development where they're doing semi-custom, or maybe even kind of like track home? So you might not have as much customization, but with all the upgrades, flooring, granite, you know, countertops, cabinets, you can do all those things and kind of make the home feel really high end. So prices are definitely going to change with that. And then also building, I'll be honest, is not the easiest thing right now. Materials have been in shortages. Even the builders that are building track homes sometimes still run into delays with everything. So building a home, I would say, is not for the faint of heart unless you have enough money where you can pay people and contractors just to knock the whole project out for you. Because if you're the type of person that wants to be involved, it's not going to be easy.
But here's the thing, though. I will say something about the custom home builders. Like, people like the New Home Company, Taylor Morrison, Woodside Homes, and whatever.
Yeah.
Material prices go up, material prices go down, and they're going to release homes, and their home prices are still going to keep going up and up. When you
Hmm.
work with a good construction crew building a custom home, they can help you not cut corners, but save money. They could say, look, let's buy the material now when lumber is down and warehouse it and just bring it down. Like, so there's ways to do that. A lot of people who, like, I work with new, semi-custom homes are like, I don't really get this. We bought our house when, we went to contract for the new home when material prices were an all-time high. And now the materials are going down. Like, there's no room to negotiate. There's no wiggle room. And it's like, and that's one of the biggest things that stinks about going semi-custom is like, you have no voice, you have no say. Whereas with a custom home, you can do things to kind of like leverage, right? You can do a pool house, maybe spend $150 per square foot. And then on your main house, spend maybe $350. All that's permanent space in an area like Serrano that's maybe going for $500 a square foot. Like, you make money. So there's ways if you go with a certain custom home builders that you can actually make a lot of money off that kind of stuff as well. So
yeah,
I don't know.
And also making a layout like one of a kind, getting something that's just different. I mean, when you're already spending that $2.5 million mark, you're not looking for a typical track home style. You're just not. So I guess I wanted to kind of also give it a range for people that are buying in the luxury market, because what would you consider the luxury market for Sacramento at this point with prices? Let's say the lower end or entry level luxury market, and then the higher end luxury market. What can people expect to pay?
Depends which area. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the biggest thing. I mean, you can go somewhere like a Carmichael and get a luxury home there, maybe cheaper than you can, or more affordable than like a Granite Bay. So, I mean, it depends on which area. I'd say you have some the places that I would say have the highest price per square foot is like a Granite Bay, like a Los Lagos, a Wexford, or like a Serrano. I think those are the spots that you're looking at the highest price per square footage, other than maybe like in East Sacramento or something like Land Park. I would say,
the number that comes to mind for me, like entry level luxury market, and entry level, so not the bells and the whistles, but I'd say about 1.5 million dollar mark is kind of a good start, and then up to typically about 2.5-3 million. And of course there's some outliers there, but that's the general that I'm seeing. What do you think?
I think you're about right. I mean, I think also it depends, like, luxury is kind of defined different by different people. Like, for me, if I look at a home that's like under maybe $1.2 million and doesn't have like smooth walls or semi-textured walls, that for me is like, well, there's these little details that make a house luxury also. You could have a house that's maybe $1 million, but if you got like nice, smooth, semi-textured walls, you got some crown molding, you got some like, modern like backsplashes and everything too, it might look better than something that you're seeing for like 1.3 that doesn't have the open concept and has, that's just a regular style walls. I mean, like, so I think it's all also about the details you put into the home. I mean, I think the touches and the finishes are what make a home like can stand out. I was looking at this home in Granite Bay, and it was like maybe, what was it, 4 months ago, and it was a beautiful home. It was selling for 1.3, and it had just the regular walls of a home, not semi-textured or anything like this. And that threw my clients completely off. They're like, I don't think we'd spend this much money, because we would definitely jump in and do the texturing of the walls, and that would cost so much money to do it. And so, so I don't know. I think it's also about the finishes on a home too. I mean, that's some of the biggest things. And I'm not, trust me when I say this, I got regular walls. But I will tell you one thing: when you're working with like, luxury buyers, there's difference between, Thermador, Wolf, Viking. There's difference between sconces and outdoor lights. there's
absolutely.
All this stuff that the luxury buyer is going to know, and you should know if you're going to be selling in that area.
100%.
Like, not like I went to this one open house, and the lady was a really sweet lady, and I was like, yeah, hey, what kind of what shades or what type of shades are in the house and all this stuff, and she's like, they go up and down. Like, okay,
the best ones.
like I say, guys, I don't live that way, but like you have to basically be able to know that kind of stuff, because once you start getting into the luxury area, it's not also about the structure of the house, everything. It's also about the little details. You have to know like the different types of, like, granite, quartz, all that kind of stuff, because those are the
Yeah.
things that have really, the details are what make the price as well. So that's kind of one of the things you kind of have to be a little versed in, I'd say, in the luxury
Mhm.
market.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, there's definitely a differentiation there. So, I wanted to talk kind of back to what we mentioned in the beginning, more of like a lifestyle. So I had one note here, and I was gonna say, if you were gonna buy a luxury home and you wanted to live by the river, what areas stick out to you?
I mean, it might not be known as the luxury market, but I like the pocket.
Mhm.
I like how it's quiet. I think it's nice.
Mhm.
Um, I think there's some one-offs by the river that I've seen. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm more of probably a lake guy. Having like Folsom Lake, but I don't know. What do you think?
You mean Folsom Pond?
Folsom Pond, yes, Folsom Pond. Now it is. Yeah, I know. Huh? One inch of
If
a.
it was specifically a river, I mean, there are some scattered areas, like even in West Sac or even on the Garden Highway, there's a lot of nice high rent homes literally on Sacramento River, which is really cool, one of a kind properties. But if you want more of the view or just access on the American River, and being a little closer to town, I would recommend places, certain pockets of Fair Oaks,
Mm,
and then certain pockets of Carmichael, and just below and like near Carmichael, there's specifically a street in an area called American River Parkway, and that's kind of not too far from Sac State area. But there's a lot of homes there that back up right to the river and that have access. Actually, had a listing coming up there, not too far away. So a lot of these homes are kind of tucked in, but they're older. They're more established communities, but they have the people that live around Sacramento and that know these communities, or a lot of the homes, they actually don't get sold off. They just get re-inherited through the family and through trusts, which is very interesting. So you don't always see a ton come to the market, but if you drive through there and pay attention, there's some really cool neighborhoods.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, that's the thing about Sacramento too. Depending on what you want, I mean, there's so many different parts of Sacramento. I mean, Sam and I were brainstorming prior to going live. Now, and like we were just spitballing areas, boom, 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 boom. It is nice because you are seeing some areas develop, like you were saying, West Sacramento is developing out. There's some big, huge houses if you drive over to Southport. There are these
Oh
big,
yeah,
like,
monsters.
yeah, monster houses. I mean, and then like, Elk Grove, you got some houses on those man-made lakes over in Laguna as
Right,
well.
right.
The pocket's got a nice little quiet area, which I like. I think it's nice, and also, I think it's a nice area. You got some nice mid-century modern homes as well that are dialed in by the Strang brothers.
Hmm.
Um, you got your kind of pick of the litter. But for me, like I said, as much as you want to be enamored with a house at the end of the day, and even if like you don't have kids or whatnot, you kind of want to make sure you're checking all the boxes when you're buying, because no matter if you're buying like, whatever house you're buying, it's your piggy bank, right? So you want to make sure that you're making a good investment decision. And like I said, for me, like there's this house on Palm Drive, right? 6600 Palm Drive in Carmichael. Beautiful
Hmm.
house. Gorgeous. God, it's a beautiful house. I think it originally was listed for like 3 million, then 2.8, then 2.4. And it was a gorgeous house. Beautiful. It looks like someone like Restoration Hardware just threw up all over it. It was a beautiful house. But like, they did certain things in that house that for me, like, just first of all, they built next to two houses that weren't even close to the price range.
Mm.
Um, the other
Yeah, that's
one
how it
is,
is in that area, though.
yeah. But
Yeah.
also it's like no pool. And if you drive by the house, you could actually see inside the house. I mean,
Mm.
and we're talking like at that price range, those are little details you got to kind of be smart about as
Yeah.
far as like that stuff
I
goes. And
I actually sold one right in that community. I think I know the house you're talking about, or at least the general area, because I sold one like a block in, not too far from Ansel Hoffman Park over there. And I mean, this home, it needed some love and it had a pool and stuff, but like It was still a higher price home for what it was, but I mean, directly behind there was just a small private street. No one could even drive it. And then directly behind that, there was just a huge like mini mansion being built. And that's the cool thing about that part of Carmichael is that sometimes the prices can sustain those homes because you have these kind of spitball homes all around that are, 1, 2, 3 million. And then you have this small home, sometimes randomly like a 3-bed, 1 bath on like a big size lot. And you're kind of thinking, what's going on? But the prices justify building homes like that in that area. It's a very nice, highly coveted area, and it's not far from the river over there, and it's just centrally located. A lot of people have a lot of value for that.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, and another thing too, that as far as like value and when you're investing in luxury homes, the thing that Carmichael's gorgeous. Don't get me wrong; it's a beautiful area,
Yeah,
but you have to understand too is that you can't think about it with the Sacramento brain, as in like I've grown up in the area, I love Carmichael, I have friends that live there. You have to also think about it like, a lot of people who move into the area, where have they heard? Have they heard of Folsom? Have they
right.
heard of El Dorado Hills or Carmichael? Like, what do you think as far as like, because
Friend.
remember, it's a supply and demand thing. So, like,
Yeah.
for me, a lot of people will be like, we want Rocklin, we want Folsom, Elk Grove, El Dorado
Mhm.
Hills. I
Yeah,
don't get too many luxury buyers saying, like, I want to, hey, do you have anything in Carmichael? They're like,
right.
I've never really heard of that area. Is it,
Is it
good?
good?
And when you already have that type of like conversation, then as a realtor, it kind of puts you on your heels where you're saying, no, 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 it is a great area. And then you're seeing other spots like Serrano where they're building these monster houses and all the comps are around there. So it's just a little touch and go. But when you're looking luxury, you got to understand though, like if you're working with a client and you sell them a $3 million house and you're happy, they're happy. And then all of a sudden, in 5 years, they want to sell it and they can't sell it for 3 million. You lost yourself a client there. And
Right.
it's just not a good kind of a situation to be in. So you really have to kind of like analyze exactly what you're doing with your clients, because at that price point, it's not really about the sale. It's all about the relationship. It's like you're their investment
Advocate.
broker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like, all right, this is a stock. You should invest in this, do this.
Yeah.
And they're expecting you to kind of do that. I mean, and that's the thing. So you just have to be kind of smart where you're putting in money and just thinking resale in like 5 years. What are we
Yeah.
looking at? Because they'll be looking at that. And if it does well, you're going to keep a client. If it doesn't do well, it's not going to work.
Absolutely. So, I mean, with that resale in mind, always, a lot of people tell me, when they're shopping for a home, especially kind of in this price point, and they say, Sam, this is going to be our forever home. And I like the thought of that. I like the idea of that. But I've sold enough homes and been in enough situations where people thought that it was their forever home, or they thought it was going to be their long-term home for, 10, 15 years. And life changes, job change, whatever. And then you end up there for 2, 3, 5 years and you have to, sell it. And so you want to be in a position where the surrounding area has gained momentum, has gained value, has appreciated, has had stuff built in since you've lived there, creating it to be more desirable. And so I think that's also a huge move with places like Serrano, newer parts of Folsom, that are building a lot of new developments, and with that, the shopping centers and the schools and everything. So it's kind of adding to it. So that 2, 3, 5 years that you've lived there, a lot more has come in, a lot more has been built out. And because of that, the values have naturally been increasing as well. And the desirability obviously keeps going up too. So being ahead of that and looking out for these kind of areas kind of puts you in a good position, really, if you ever do need to sell.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is like, because of everything that happened with COVID, everything appreciated, right? It doesn't matter where it was or what it was. All the houses basically, went from like, or in a year's time, maybe like 60 to $100,000 over, and probably more in some areas. But the other thing too, you have to realize that some areas have peaked. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just a matter of what they are. Some areas, are influenced by things that happen near it, like, and you just have to kind of keep that stuff in mind too. When you're working with people, there's a big trust there as far as putting people in. And it doesn't matter what luxury, not luxury, whatever home, there's a trust factor there. And you really
Right.
got to know your thing, your you really got to know what you're doing, because you have to just dig deep. Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you're looking for investment properties, Natomas is a spot to do it. And I think I was one of the first people that broke the news about the medical school that was being built
Right.
there. And I'm like,
Mhm.
why? Because I did my research. And I'm not just saying to you like, oh yeah, Bob over there told me that's a good area. I'm saying, look, medical school, ARCO is going down. This is going to be a great place to buy for investments. If you look right now at the rental income based on this, look at the stuff that's moving there. Like I did my research on that area. So that way, when people ask me about it, I could say like, look, I know I'm saying this, but here are the stuff that's backing up my play. Serrano's the same way. Why am I going so hard on Serrano? Well, because there's a street called Raphael, like I said, that had 60 lots, and they're eating them up like hotcakes over there. And we're going to see a crop of custom homes there. And so for me, if you're looking at homes that honestly, probably the lowest one's going to be sold for 2.8,
Yeah.
like that's just smart business. And so you have to kind of be that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And just looking out for opportunities, really. And I think that's kind of part of our job as well, is when clients do approach us, they might say the general area, but as you and I both know, I mean, that could be 100 houses or 100 potential houses. So really looking out for these things. I mean, regardless of just the area name or the zip code, it's like, what pocket is it in? Do you see some future development going on there, or just is the community really established that it's going to maintain the price and keep that desirability? And with that, actually, this was an interesting thing I wanted to bring up. So have you ever driven into a neighborhood where it's like, all right, nice homes, nice homes, nice homes, and there's always that one eyesore home that just throws the neighborhood off?
Oh yeah.
And with that, I also would bring up the point of, if you're buying a home like this, okay, keep an eye out on the neighborhood. And of course, whoever you're working with, whatever realtor you're working, should know about this as well, is that what are the eyesores in the neighborhood? Are there neighbors or renters in the community that may not take as much pride of ownership in their property as the other neighbors? So with that, speaking of resale and sellability in the next few years, that could be a huge hindrance.
Oh
I've
yeah.
had that before, where it's just a bad neighbor next door, but a great community, and everyone that comes in and wants to buy the house is always asking about that neighbor next door, and it's just hindering the sale. It's hindering the desirability of the property.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had situations where like this is actually kind of funny. It was like, went to this one open house, and so we're going to this open house, and it was a nice house and everything too. And the realtor's there, really sweet and everything too. Their next door neighbors are on the lawn in lawn chairs with a big old Trump flag sitting right there. And they're like, they're ready to go. It's the open
Nice.
house, and they're making sure. Yeah. I mean,
They want to make sure they know who they're getting, type
oh
of
yeah. Oh yeah.
stance.
100%.
That's funny.
Well, yeah, that's the thing too, also about
But
homes and
it's
area. Huh?
yeah, but yeah, that's rough, because regardless of your stance on that, it's sometimes the outspoken neighbor is like, can cause other issues down the road. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh, and so because of that, or like also you have the neighbors that are a little bit too nosy, when you're doing the open house, they're walking through and they're telling me like, hey, whatever client you have, like, this is what I'm looking for. I'm like, why would I tell you that?
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just so funny that people's minds go there, like they want to control what's going on. But I'm not worried about nosy neighbors as I am about the people that are just not having the pride of ownership, not mowing the lawn, maybe making it dirty, or paint their house some crazy pink color, and it just doesn't match the tone of the neighborhood because they want to stand out or something ridiculous. So I know these things happen, but with that, that kind of rolls me into my next question is, do you see a lot of people when they're buying luxury homes, are they for having an HOA or anti having an HOA?
Well, Ryan was talking about right now, like $1 million price range. I think
There
you
you
got to
go.
like be smart about your HOA too. Like Los Lagos, I mean, it's like a military fortress over there. You need IDs, you need thumbprints, DNA stuff. And
They took
it's
a
like,
sample for
oh
sure.
yeah, totally. It's like 240, 250 a month. And
Yeah.
is that worth it? Well, if you're in that price range and you want your privacy, maybe you're a king or something like that, or Sacramento king or whatever, I think it's
Okay.
worth it. I mean, I'm how can I say this? I think there's some areas, like you said, in Fair Oaks that have like an $80 HOA, like Currow Downs, where it's kind of like no street parking and it's very light.
Yeah.
I think you just have to, there's a good medium spot as far as that kind of stuff goes. You want an HOA that's pricey enough where it, basically the pride of a home ownership is very much encouraged in that area, to put it lightly. But also the other one that you just don't have people running around taking photos of a garage. Like, I live in Gold River, and it's probably the most expensive and brutal HOAs in all of Sacramento. I kid you not. I was closing a deal in Gold River, it was about a year ago, and we were about ready to close. And there was a little dent in the garage door of the house that my client was purchasing, and some lady comes by with a camera and takes a picture of that, and we had to replace the garage doors completely on the house before we even close the deal. So you just have to make sure, like, the HOAs, like, look at your HOAs to make sure they're not so restrictive and so brutal
absolutely.
that, like,
absolutely.
But,
we need to get you out of Gold River, buddy. That's pretty intense.
I know, it was brutal. You can't have like ring cams in certain areas and all this stuff. But you just gotta like be, you just have to pick your level of what HOAs mean to you. And the other thing too is make sure that if you are paying for an HOA, you're getting your money's worth. Sometimes in Gold River also, I look at this and I'm like, what are we really getting for like $358 a month? It's like, what are we getting for this? We don't have a gate. It's pretty and everything too, but it's just like, so you got to kind of be, you got to figure out exactly what your HOAs are kind of providing you too. But I do think, Ryan, in the $1 million range, you should. The crazy part is in Skyline, like that you were talking about, they don't have an HOA. They don't have gates. They're just like, boom. They're like, man, if someone can get up here.
Yeah. But the interesting thing was I saw a little over $1 million home in Lincoln, in a newer community right outside of Cataverdera, which is super coveted, gated. I mean, the bee's knees, custom homes. But this Lincoln community, basically 12 Bridges, really nice homes, beautiful views. But after we sold, they were saying that there was kind of like a community meeting of the neighbors, and they were trying to actually put gates on the front, because the way the neighborhood is set up, there's only 2 main entrances, so they could put gates on and then put an HOA in place. So they had a whole vote going on whether to put in an HOA or not. So I don't know how far that's gonna fly, because the community is already established, but with that, having it gated would definitely give it a little bit more privacy, give it more of like a upscale feel. But I'm with you on that. I don't want to pay too much for an HOA that's not doing much. Let's be real. But I do, if I'm going to be living in a home like this, I do want some sort of security, whether it's a gate, pin pad, maybe even patrol once in a while, stuff like that, and a board to at least keep up, like, hey, you can't paint your house these colors or whatever, these outlandish things, or things need to be approved by a certain amount. But I also don't like too much restriction, certain things like, there's certain areas that you can't even put up a fence, or like in some of the rural properties, if you have a propane tank in the backyard, like you need to get like a professionally done fence around the propane tank, and just like little things, and so you got to just make sure what you're getting into. And then obviously me and Mark, we sell quite a few homes around here in some of these areas, so you can even pick our brain. And, honestly, if we don't know it, we will figure it out. That's just what we do. It's part of our job, right?
I mean, Sam and I literally sold a house in Los Lagos in about an hour and a half.
Literally, not even an hour. I think it was like 30 minutes after you signed the listing.
That was hilarious. Like, listing agreement signed. Here's the offer. Okay, we're good.
That's crazy.
But I mean, and it was Sam posting on social media, tick, 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 and then boom, and then it was done.
We had a buyer. We set it up. Mark showed up to the appointment to set it all up with the sellers. And I mean, a few days before, we just told him, hey, you should paint this wall, do this, do this, do this. It's going to really make the house shine. Mark follows up, gets in there, signs the listing agreement. I set up the buyer to show up as soon as he's done signing the listing agreement. They fall in love. They canceled their current contract on another home and then get this home. So, I mean, literally, 30-minute span, a 1-hour span, and boom. And the guy's happy. Like, he was calling me after, just super jazzed and juiced about it because he got into Los Lagos.
I know. And
Isn't
it's
that
like,
amazing?
well, that's the thing too with low inventory. You have to, the other thing about the luxury market is don't assume because, you know, a house pops up that you can get it for a discount rate too. I mean, it's
Right.
still inventory. Luxury at the luxury level right now, it's still tough. It's
Mhm.
you still got a lot of competition from like the Bay Area and other areas where like,
Yeah.
someone sold their like house in the Bay Area for 2 or 3 million, and they're looking at specific areas like Los Lagos, Wedgeford, Serrano, and they've got the bank to do it. So
Right.
it kind of is what it is. It's still a tough market, even at the luxury market.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
I mean, honestly, in this market, you need to be like creative, witty, and really determined, because just saying, "Hey, we're just gonna go out look at homes, see what happens," it's not really gonna make it happen. Like, even for this buyer that we found for this property, it was very intentional.
yep.
Posting, marketing beforehand, before the house even hits the market. We're already trying to push it because just a simple going on the market's not going to do it anymore. And with that is, working with somebody who's in the game, first of all, who's selling a lot of properties, especially luxury, but is also connected to a lot of agents that are doing the same. Like me and you, we have the private chat with those other agents. Every time we have a listing come on the market, before we even get anything going, before I even have photos, I'm telling everybody, "Hey, I have this. Do you have a buyer or a client for this property?" beforehand, so everybody in our circle is notified. And
Oh
that's
yeah.
just how it works, because it's a reciprocating thing. The same thing's going to happen to me, and I'm going to get my client in the door before anybody else and get them a shot at that property.
Well, the other thing too is that some of the stuff that we do as well is like and the reasons why home tours, right? And all this kind of stuff. Because if you're someone who's looking to sell their like $2 million house in Sacramento, and you got your normal, like, I call them the sign realtors, you know what I mean? Sign in the door or in the yard, listing agreement. Hey, I know this area. That's great. But the truth of the matter is, like, Sam and I have sold homes via YouTube videos to people in other areas that for the most part wouldn't have seen these houses unless they were on YouTube. YouTube is
Yeah,
such a big platform for that kind of stuff. And it's a little sad when you see kind of, you see people who are like struggling to get rid of their homes, even in this market. And it does happen now and again. And the
absolutely.
idea has always been, if you can actually showcase a home to as many people as humanly possible, put yourself in the equation. And that's why Sam puts himself in the videos. That's why I do it the same thing on my channel. It's because, like, as much as I love these beautiful like homes with elevator music and doing all this kind of stuff and everything, it's great. But I mean, like, why would you take the person who's trying to sell your house out of the equation? Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you take the person who's pointing out the little touches and details and finishes on a house, like some of these other, like, realtors and brokerages do it? Like, and that's kind of one of the things that has been working really well for us in the luxury space. So I don't know. I think YouTube is going to be the way everything's going to play. Maybe in
Yeah.
Sacramento, like 5 years or whatever, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it's a great space to be in. That house on Shelbourne, honestly,
Yeah.
um,
I remember
that
that.
that was a YouTube video.
Yeah.
They saw the video. They came in. They wanted to meet me because they're like, we've seen the video like 30 times. Boom, 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 done. And it was a done deal. And that was like my third home I saw with YouTube videos. So
Yeah.
it's a shame that more brokers and more agents don't do that. But
Mhm.
that's how you kind of get the job done.
Exactly. I mean, it's the world we live in now, especially when COVID just hit. Everything was strictly virtual, so people were trying to adjust. But I mean, like, this is kind of normal to us now at this point. So there's no adjustment. It's just it is what it is, and that's how we do it. So, anything else that you kind of want to tell a person? Maybe they're moving from out of town and they're thinking about Sacramento, or they're thinking about, buying a luxury home in the Sacramento area. Is there any sort of advice that you'd give to them before even coming out here and starting to shop?
I would say, get a good CMA in an area. Look at what things are trading for, price per square foot, how long a house stays on the market, appreciation over the last 5 years. I would say what finishes are part of the house. I would say check appliances. Appliances are big too. depending on what price point you're looking to buy.
Yeah.
I would say just demand for that area in that house. I would say try to keep the love for the house in check and think of it more as a business transaction and
Yes.
something that, I mean, if you're buying that price point, I am almost guaranteeing it, you will love the house.
Right.
But like I said, at the end of the day, you want to be smiling when you see how much money you've made in that house as well. So
Ding
just,
ding.
yeah, be careful about where you're doing it, because at the end of the day, no matter if you're buying your forever home or you're buying a house, your first house in the market, it should be a stepping stone to making money out of it. That's the greatest thing about real estate. A good investment, can make you like a lot of money, and then when you cash out, you buy the next biggest and better house that you want to buy, and you just keep going,
Yeah.
as opposed to taking a 20% loss, which would stink, and you'd probably never call your realtor again.
Nope. Nope. So, guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this show so far. I hope it's kind of maybe opened up some ideas about the luxury market here in Sacramento. And I know there's still a lot more to dive into, so we'll definitely be doing more shows. Just so you guys know, we do go live on this channel every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. So make sure you hit that bell button and stay up to date with all the videos. You can also check out Mark's channel and just search it in, Sacramento's #2 YouTube channel. Just kidding. If you type in Sacramento real estate, you will find Mark's channel. I'll also link it down below. Make sure that you give him a follow, like his videos, because he stays up to date with all the real estate going on here. And of course, me and him do a lot of transactions together. We actually help each other out with certain clients. So if you have a question or something, feel free to reach out to him. He's an awesome resource here in Sacramento. Mark, really appreciate having you on the show, man. And I'm looking forward to doing future deals with you.
Absolutely, my friend.
All right. Take care.